Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Renew Podcast. I am your host, Kristen Andre, and I have back with me again this week the fantastic Shelby Triick. We are continuing Girlfriends Week, Girlfriends Month, whatever we're going to call it. So I'm putting some of my closest friends in the hot seat with me in co-hosting duties. So we've got Shelby back with us for the third week in a row. So thank you for being with us again.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited because today we are talking about something, and I covered this in the book, and You're Not For Everyone, getting out of your comfort zone. Because I feel like for so many of us, it is something we do not do. We kind of stay in our safe little bubble, and we just don't get out and about as much, and we don't try things and take risk and everything. So today we're talking about getting out of the comfort zone, betting on yourself a little bit, and taking a leap.
Yeah.
So how often have you done that, like, in your life?
In my life?
You're better at it than me. I think this is definitely an area of opportunity for me. And I'll do some big things, like take some adventurous trips and do some things that are way out of my comfort zone. But it's rare for me, I think, that I get totally out of my comfort zone.
Yeah, I think in one of the other episodes, we talked about the fact that, like, I jump first and then look back and go, oh, that was a far jump. But I mean, I think I've always gravitated towards a little bit of risk taking, whether that be through like things I choose to do socially, like putting myself out there, things that I've done professionally that maybe I wasn't, like in another episode we talked about. Is it the
same for you though? Like, do you take risks both personally? Because I feel like I take more risks professionally, where personally I'm not. I definitely stay in my comfort zone.
I'm a double dog dare ya kind of person.
Are you?
Yeah.
I kind of see that about you.
Yeah. I mean, and some of it comes back. So this is I don't know why this is just what popped into my head, because it's probably not what people think of, but I think it was ingrained in me at a very young age, because when I was from the tiny human, we were taught if we didn't want to eat something, we had to try it once, and then only could we say that we didn't like it or didn't want to eat it. So as a result, I eat a lot of foods that most people don't eat. I was the kid, the 5-year-old that went to the salad bar, and everybody's like, why is she at the salad bar? But if I think back, if you're kind of challenged in a positive way, like try it. See. Yeah. Then I think it starts. I'd never thought about that connection until actually just this very moment.
Yeah.
But, try it and see. And
I never tried a lot of.
And the outcomes, I can't remember a negative outcome. Like, I don't eat anchovies. I don't know why people like hairy food.
They're gross. Yeah.
But, I've tried them, though. And it's funny because even now as an adult, I can remember being at dinner several years ago and somebody saying, oh, have you ever had this? It was bone marrow. And I was like, mm-mm.
Ooh,
and they were like,
bone
marrow. And I was like, no. And they're like, well, try it. And I was like, no. And then I sat there and I was like,
you did not try the bone marrow.
No, I did.
Ooh,
That is how.
See, this is me and my little. I said I don't get out of my comfort zone personally.
But that's how ingrained in me that even though I am 47 years old and my parents aren't sitting in the booth beside me,
telling you,
I'm like, nope, it's a family rule. I've got to taste it. And I ended up liking it. I didn't want to consume a lot.
Disgusting.
Couldn't consume a lot of it because I'd get in my head.
Yeah.
But that's a long-winded.
As you should.
But I think when it's ingrained, when you have positive experiences from a young age where you've been challenged to like try it, do it.
Yeah.
And you don't break bones or something.
Well, and that's the thing. They always say let kids adventure. Like you only touch a hot stove once or anything.
Yeah, I'm definitely
some
a light.
Hot stoves I have touched a few times.
I'm a light. I live by the light socket.
It's true. But
I definitely live by the light socket. Whoop, okay. So I might do it twice, too.
That's the thing. But
it's for good measure.
But that's why you don't get out of your I feel like you get
so
hurt.
Much fun.
I know. I tell you, this is the perfect one. This is my adventurous friend. I am the one going, I don't think we should do that. I don't think we should do that.
And I'm the one
she's doing it.
I'm the one kicking you in the booty.
Yeah.
Jump.
But I think we need that. We need that. So like I said, I take risks professionally. I will launch new projects. I will do things. I, quit a great job to start my own firm. I do it professionally.
Yeah.
Personally, kind of the taking the risk. And it's my friend Amy had actually thrown out this topic to us because she had said, getting out of your comfort zone, betting, and she calls it betting on yourself.
Yeah.
And so I wonder, like, if you're not willing to take a risk, it's either because you're you're not willing to bet on yourself, or you're afraid there's going to be something negative. Like, I can doomsday scenario with the best of them. Like, I can say, okay, if I try this, here are all the million things bad that are going to happen.
I call it garden hosing.
Yeah.
Because, you can you wind up a garden hose to put it away. So I'm
Yeah.
like, unwind the garden hose. I can garden hose things to death too.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because oftentimes, though, I will still do it.
Yep.
I do think that as I've gotten older, I've gotten a little more comfortable, and I don't feel like I need to challenge myself as much, which is probably the opposite. I probably need to challenge myself just as much as or more.
Yeah.
But I still try to seek out interesting locations, doing interesting things. I don't have to know everything to make a decision.
Yeah.
To just be able to go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I probably do it more personally than professionally because
Yeah.
try to thread a needle professionally or whatever my personal brand is, and want to be seen as proficient. I don't know why I have to talk like
I know. I was going to say, why do you talk like you? I feel like you need a top hat or something.
I don't know why I have to talk like Popeye to do it, but yeah,
Very formal.
yeah.
It scared me for a while. I was taken aback a little bit. I was like, I don't know what to think here. But part of it is when it comes to taking a risk, when it comes to stepping out, we get comfortable. Like I always say, life happens outside the comfort zone. We know that. It's a famous quote. Everybody says it. But we still get where we're like, yeah, it does. But I'm going to stay in my little bubble right here.
One of our friends, one of my best friends, Heather Breedlove. She, whenever I'm like, she's like, what is the worst that can happen?
But I think that's a good question.
It's a great question.
I definitely don't ask that.
I'm
enough.
like, what would Heather Breedlove do? What's the worst that could happen?
We need to get a little what would Heather do bracelet.
Don't drive a boat any faster than you want to hit something. Check. What's the worst that could happen?
That's true.
I went through a summer where
That's funny.
I was a little afraid of speed on water. I don't know what I thought we were going to do. I thought, I'd seen the boat flipping over and she's like, what's the worst that can happen? Just don't drive the boat any faster than you want to hit something. I'm like, well, that is sound advice.
It is sound advice.
And I'm like, well, I could apply that. I could apply that to a lot of things.
I kind of like that. Don't drive, Heather. Heather's been on the show before, so Heather's always good with wisdom.
Heather's like my husband. Like, she can be very quiet and all those things, but then she's like,
she just
boom,
comes up with the zingers.
Boom.
Don't drive any faster than you want to hit something.
Yeah.
I think that could be sound advice for life. We might need to write that one down.
We might need to. Or,
but that may help.
What's the worst that could happen? I'm like, well, and then I think, literally, in some scenarios, it's, well, the worst that could happen is I could die. Is that likely?
Dying is usually not a good thing.
Is that likely? Okay, probably not. So, but I'm like, what is the worst thing? What is the worst thing that I'm going to be embarrassed? Is the worst thing that my underwear is going to be showing? If you wear
happened. Yeah.
But is the worst thing, what's the worst thing? And I try to really think, and I can usually get to the worst thing pretty quick because it's my ultimate. I can
too. I can.
It's my ultimate fear in that moment.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't care. Like when I was 20, I was living overseas. And I went on a trip, and we rafted these Class 5 rapids. And when you go through a Class 5 rapid, you have to get out, and you have to look and see how you're going to take the rapid. You have to assess the situation.
I would get out, look, and assess, and go, I am not taking the rapid. I will meet you back at the hotel.
So you assess the situation, which is what we should all do when we're encountering difficult obstacles. We should probably stand on a hill and assess the situation.
I don't think we do that.
Well, our guide was like, the river's high. You could dive into this. Anybody that has whitewater rafted knows you don't go head first into anything willingly. Well, then the two of the guys that were with us on the trip, they were like, I'll do it. And so they went and did it, and they didn't die. And I was like, well, I'm not going to be left out in the cold. That's why I said I'm a double dog dare you friend. But I may not be the first to go over the rapid, but I'll definitely be the third.
I will be the 97th person.
And then I wasn't strong enough to get to the shore because the water was moving so fast.
Yeah.
So it was on the Rieka.
So you almost died.
It was on the Rieka Dobra, so the good river. And as I
that does not sound good.
Whipping my little heart out. And so the two of them had to people chain and pull me off. And then I was exhilarating though.
That's not exhilarating.
On the other side of fear is exhilaration.
Girl.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
That's why. Double dog dare.
Maybe that's the difference. It's to me, and I hear that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, but the little comfort zone bubble of the shore just sounded nice. I'll just stay here and just. But you know what? That's true because I would have stayed there. I wouldn't have done it. I would have stayed in my comfort zone. And this is a big growth opportunity for me. And I've talked about this a lot because I don't do the wild and crazy things. I don't get out, but I also feel like I miss a lot of the exhilaration because you've got to get through the fear, as you said, to get to the exhilaration. And I'll do that with a few things, but
I think it scared
there's a lot that I pull back on.
I think it scared my parents some when I was younger. I mean, my dad would tell people, I just had to get comfortable with the fact that my daughter was going to run into the burning building. I've always been the helper. I mean, it applies to so many scenarios where flipped over car, I'm walking to the car,
Oh, I'll do that.
Ryan is back. Not because he's afraid of going to the car, but Ryan's back dialing 911 and I'm like, nope, I'm going to be in the car with him.
But that's different. That's helping other people. Because I do that. Like I hate to say I love car wrecks, but
that can get out of some people's comfort zone, blood, guts. You don't know what you're going to encounter.
Before I went to finance, I was in the medical field. So I have a medical background and a degree in that field. And so I love blood and guts. I think I see a car wreck. I'm like, look at that. Maybe there's a compound fracture.
This just went on an off ramp.
I know, but that to me, and maybe that's the difference because that to me is comfort. That is comfort zone. So while a lot of people, their comfort zone may be, I couldn't go on a car wreck. What could I find? That's comfortable for me because I feel comfortable that I would be able to help.
Yeah.
But a lot.
Don't you think though this year you've embraced kind of getting out of your comfort zone a little bit?
A little bit.
I think that you're taking on new opportunities. I think that you're taking on, new adventures,
trips to foreign countries.
Yeah. I think that you're attempting to say yes to more things that might have scared you in the past.
That is a thing. Yes, definitely
that's getting out of your comfort zone. It doesn't necessarily have to be.
But let's be real. I've been forced out of my comfort zone by my little inner circle that's telling me I need to get out of my comfort zone more.
We might have thrown the egg out of the nest.
They totally they took the nest out from under me. I went from having a year of no and a year of just letting me stay in my bubble to my closest friends who, again, we talk about my tiny little circle. Everybody thinks you're like, you've got all these friends. I have a very tiny little circle that I listen to. They have taken the nest away.
We're vicious.
They are vicious, and they are making me say yes to adventures. And so, yes, I have had some adventures. I've had some things I would have never said no to, where I know, foreign country adventures, where my family and everybody's like, you're doing what? And you're going, where? With who? And you're doing, and yes, great, that's good. But I do have to be pushed along a little bit.
Yeah.
And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, but it's also the people pushing me. You guys know me and know I do take some nudging, don't I?
Yeah, but we're also not pushing you to
I'm not going
take off a limb.
Yeah.
We're not pushing mutilation. We're just pushing you to have a little bit of
fun.
But you have fun.
I do.
You do have fun. That makes it sound like you never have fun. You have fun.
Yeah.
And I think you seek out opportunities. It just can.
I think there's when I say, to me, I think getting out of your comfort zone is different for everybody.
Yeah.
For me, it's being more adventurous. I like to go have fun, but I have very calculated fun. I know, I've thought through the scenarios. I know who I'm with. It's a controlled environment. And that
sounds
sounds
fun.
Terrible for you. I know. But for me,
with my pants on fire light socket.
I know. Shelby's over here sticking her finger in the light, licking her hand and sticking her finger in the light socket. And I'm like, don't do that. But if you do that, I do know burn treatment. So I can help you.
Good.
But for me, maybe it's different for everyone. Because getting out of your comfort zone, you're so comfortable to me out of your comfort zone. You live outside the comfort zone.
I tend to camp.
We're trying to get Shelby to come back in the comfort zone a little bit. Where and what's so funny, because we're so close but very different, I'm kind of like, you have to pull me out of it.
Yeah.
Because that's and maybe it's because I was raised very structured, and I was comfortable with that. It was safe for me, so I kind of knew. So part of it is safety, I think.
Yeah.
It's not, because Amy, my friend, had mentioned bet on yourself. It's time to take risks. For me, I don't think that's it. I think it's, I have confidence in my abilities of taking risks, but it's just the safety. It's the,
Yeah.
Make
Do you
sure I
think
don't get hurt.
so? I guess when I think of taking risks, I think of diving headfirst into Class 5 rapids, jumping out of airplanes. Now, the one thing I won't do is bungee jump like that.
I won't bungee jump or jump out of an
That does seem
airplane.
crazy to me,
Yeah.
but also exhilarating.
Because here's the thing with bungee jumping: you go up there. I don't
want to be boinged back. I just want to hit.
But you go up and you tell them.
I just want to splat.
Here's my theory with
If I'm
bungee
going to splat,
jumping.
I don't want it to come at me like a
You come
yo-yo.
back and- well, here's my theory. Here's my theory about bungee jumping. You go up and they calculate. They take your weight and they calculate like how much you weigh and they know how much tension to put or what springs to use or whatever. I'm a woman. We lie about our weight.
Yeah.
Right? So what if I'm heavier than I told them I was? I'm going to hit the ground first because I've told them I'm 10 pounds lighter
It's
than I
usually
actually
over water. Like, I don't want to be
Doesn't matter.
like dipped in a
I'm gonna hit-
toilet. Like,
that
flying
literally,
around.
this tells you how bad it is. That was my thought when I thought about bungee jump. I'm like, they're going to have my weight wrong because I'm going to lie about it. I'll go head first into the ground.
I have to hold my face in.
It's true. Why do you hold your face?
Because I'm laughing so hard.
Mine's not moving.
Oh, mine
Mine's not
moves
moving
too
anyway.
much.
But it's,
Mine's too expressive.
mine is not. But that's what I think about. Like, it's
Yeah.
just, I've calculated the risk to know, 1, I'm going to lie about my weight. 2, you are not going to be able to do. I mean, you're getting paid minimum wage to run the bungee jump. I'm going to guess your math skills are not the best.
Yeah.
No
well, if my
offense
husband's
to the
there,
bungee
he's going to
jump
be
people.
doing the math in the air that, is so sexy. So it's just like,
He's not going to be doing
the engineer.
right, that he's going to hit. But like, I don't know. I mean, these are big risks. Like
yeah,
bungee jumping, I won't
life.
do.
Those are life risks.
Jumping out of a plane. Now, I do have, and I've talked about this before on the show, I made 100 things to do before I die list. And I've checked off like close to 40 of them now. A lot of them are places to go. Some things are out of my comfort zone. And I've mentioned this, and you know what? I hate to even mention it again because I think it was a few months ago when I committed to doing this and I still haven't done it. Do you know the biggest item on my list?
I don't remember.
So out of the 100 things to
think
do, there's several places to go. There's one category out of my comfort zone. So I have like career accomplishments, places to visit. The out of my comfort zone, I have done indoor skydiving. I've done a pole dancing class that was so out of my comfort zone. That's hard work.
That's a hard
I mean,
workout.
shout out to the strippers because that was not easy. Like
Yeah.
it was a
Or even-
hard
that's a-
workout. I do not have the arm strength for that.
Yeah, that's a sport.
Nobody wants to see that anyway.
It's not
but
even just strippers. I mean, it's a sport.
It
Those
was a lot, but I did that one. But the one thing that I've yet to check off is singing karaoke. Does that surprise you? I know.
I could
Singing
do that right
karaoke.
now.
I know you could. But here's the thing, and this is why, and this is going to be so telling. Y'all going to be
Let's
like,
go.
Kristen is messed up. Shelby is now Googling karaoke bars nearby.
No, I know where one is. Let's do it.
But this is,
I have my song. I'm Blondie.
let me tell you why it's so
One
bad.
way or another. Like, come on, let's go.
I can't. But here's what, like, you can put me in front of a crowd of 10,000 people and I can talk and I'm like, I'm good.
Her eyes
Let me
were
just do
watering.
I know my eyes were like, I can't do it. I'm freaking
terrified.
out. But I can't because here's why. I know I can't sing.
I can't either. Did you just hear me? I just
know.
karaoke'd for all of everybody.
I know. But see, so how did
It's
you do
gonna
that?
live in infamy.
How did you do that?
Oh God,
Because
that's
the part, that's the getting out of your comfort zone for me. It's like I am way out of my comfort zone on the things I know I'm going to be really good at. But the things that I'm like, oh, not really my area of expertise, I stay in my little bubble.
I don't know. I guess because even if I'm terrible, it'll be entertaining.
Oh, I'll be entertained.
And
like,
no
for
good story
sure.
started with I had a salad. Like,
That's true.
did it?
There's some good sounds.
I mean, isn't that a meme or something? I didn't come up with that on my
Yeah,
own
actually
as much
there
as I
is.
would
Yeah,
like to
there is a
have,
meme.
But I've
Yeah.
said it all along. Like, no good story starts with that way.
Yeah.
So
You do embrace though. You're
Jump.
really good at embracing life. That's why you're perfect to talk about this because for those of us who don't have the jump gene, my jump gene is broken. It is broken. Right?
how do we
unbreak the jump gene?
where are the jumper cables for the jump gene?
Right. That's kind of what we need to figure out because I can't be the only one. Like I'm curious.
No,
like people
but I
listening-
wonder what. So you asked me how did you do that? I'm like,
Yeah.
I really don't know how I do it. I just do it because I think I enjoy being silly. I think I'm entertaining. I'm probably not, and I just
think you're fine.
whatever. But what holds you back? What's the fear?
I don't know. I mean, part of it is fear of looking stupid,
Okay, yeah.
fear of being
See, I
embarrassed.
look dumb anyway.
Yeah, you don't care. Not that. Yeah.
I mean,
But you don't care. And here's what's funny is I honestly don't care what people think of me unless you're in I beat that horse to death.
No, I know.
If you're in my circle, I care.
Well, you
Outside
care what
of
we
that,
think,
I
but you don't care. You don't care what.
I don't care enough
You don't
to
care about being
change.
silly in front of us,
No,
or you don't care about.
But I will be totally, and I think I'm not really a different person in front of my friends, but I feel like until I have a comfort level with the people around me, I'm very buttoned. Like, I don't share a lot of stuff outside my group. I keep, I'm a good, I put it in the vault. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel like outside of my little bubble, it is hard to be silly and goofy, and I don't know what that's about. I don't know if it's just maybe, be it I'm a true grit, girls raised in the South. So when you're a girl raised in the South in the 70s and 80s, you were just kind of seen and not heard. And I mention that a lot in You're Not For Everyone. We were seen and not heard. So it's just, I just kind of stayed not under the radar, because I don't think I'm under the radar. My personality and my mouth is too big to be under the radar.
I know.
But I think as far as taking risk, I've always been kind of scared to take risks. And it's funny because I never thought I took risks, but my old managing partner, when I went into finance, I was like, he's like, are you a risk taker? I'm like, definitely not a risk taker. And he's like, you just literally left the medical field to go into finance. You've moved. At the time, my ex-husband's from St. Louis, so I had grew up in Georgia, went to undergrad in Florida, lived in the South my whole life, moved to St. Louis, didn't know a soul other than him, and his family. So I had taken risks, but what was interesting is I didn't view those as risk. I just viewed those as my next best step.
Next best step. I was just something that I don't necessarily think this was true for what you're experiencing, but survival is probably the biggest risk most people take. What are they going to have to do next? And I think, because a lot of people, they see me, There was a good friend of mine, because I tended to move a little bit, and then there were some downtimes in the economy. I switched fields. I've been in fields that I don't have the standard education. I've worked in engineering. I'm not an engineer. I've worked in finance. I'm not a CPA or a financial advisor, but I have skill sets in those fields, and I've been around those people. But so one of my friends, I was moving to Florida, and he's like, what are you going to do? And I said, I'm not really sure. And he was like, well, if there's anybody that's going to be able to figure it out, I know it's you. He's like, I've never seen anybody just land on their feet as much as you have. And I was like, well, survival will kind of do that to you.
But you dive in and you learn what you need to know.
But some people from the outside see that as an affinity for taking risks and saying yes and doing things outside of what might be outside of their comfort zone. But for me, it was, well, these are the choices that I've made, and this is what I've got to do next. And it is the next best step.
It's interesting, though, because I feel like I've done that career-wise. But again, getting out of my comfort zone personally is harder for me.
Do you think that's harder when you have kids? I don't have tiny people, so I'm not worried about, I want to be alive for my husband and my family and my mom and my brother, people like that, and my friends. But I also am not worried.
I'm not worried about dying. I don't think karaoke is going to kill me. I don't know. It could. I might have a heart attack.
Kill us.
It'll kill y'all. Someone might throw something at me.
But
beamed in the head.
Does personal risk, is that different because of kids, or is that,
no,
it doesn't sound
I don't think
it?
For me, it's not, because I'm not talking about personal risk like jumping out of airplanes. That one's not on the list.
That's still exactly
It is not on the list. It is. When I think risk, I just mean, and maybe there's a difference between risk and risky. So I'm not talking about risky behaviors. I'm talking about risk meaning something different from my norm. I'll have friends tell me oh my gosh, you're having so much fun. And I'm like, I am probably one of the most boring people on the planet. I'm really not, I'm just totally breaking. For all of those that think I'm fun and cool, ask my children, they will tell you, I'm not. I don't do a lot. So for me, it's not a risky behavior. It's just doing something out of the norm. And out of the, so the comfort zone, to me, I know that's where growth occurs. I feel like I'm phenomenal with that professionally. But personally, I stay in my own little bubble. I don't, which is why you guys are all pushing me this year. Shelby and Jessica and some of my close friends are like, this is your year of yes. You need to say yes to everything. I'm like, no, we're not saying yes to the year of yes. We're saying no to the year of yes. But it's easier for me to say no until I can calculate the risk. I should have been an actuary.
I was about to say, you're like an actuarial scientist without even knowing it.
Yeah, I've got to calculate the risks and what what it could look like. But part of that for me, and I feel like getting out of the comfort zone, at least for me, and I'm curious if anybody else is like this, is my brain, the way it works is I've already thought 18 steps down the road.
Oh, I've always thought 18 steps down the road, generally speaking.
But if there's any bad option or scenario down that path, then I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't try that.
I think where I land, why I do it, is that I always end up thinking the story is going to be better if I do.
I kind of like that.
Like the story is just going to, I think that's the way I've always approached it. So if it goes bad,
at least it's a great story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because, I mean, nobody hears about all the things that went right.
That's true.
They hear about the things where I tripped up, or they see those things. God, remind me. But, I mean, but a lot of things have to go right for us to be where we are right now, right? But there were a lot of things that didn't go right, but those are the things that we're talking about. Our fear, failures, fears, the things. But they didn't kill me, but that's why I'm here and on the other side, and why I think I'm valuable to...
But you do learn a lot. Like I said, I don't know. For me, I differentiate the two. Like I said, we've got personal and professional. And I do feel like I do a lot of growth. And I've done a lot of growth personally, too. And I guess I took risks there. I mean, my ex-husband's a musician. We met when he was on tour. I mean, that's risky. That was definitely out of my comfort zone. Yeah. Like you don't have the little Southern girl marrying the rock star. But I guess you do. Who knows? But that was taking a risk.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're being real. But because it was very different than my norm.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what scared me. Sean, maybe you're what scared. No, I'm just playing. No, he's definitely more risk taker.
Yeah.
I was always more the risk averse one too.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it has to do with having kids. I really don't, because I'm not talking about risk where I'm going to risky. Like I said, I'm not talking about where I'm going to die. So I don't
That's
think
an interesting differentiation that you make. It's like risky versus risk, and I think I'm talking about risky behavior.
You're talking about risky,
like jumping or diving, or
and I'm just talking about out of your comfort zone, meaning out of your norm, because we know the growth happens outside of that, which is why and I'm a personal and professional growth junkie, so I do like that, and I do feel like I push myself personally some, but there, I think we all have these little areas where we're like, I'm just good in my little bubble.
I've always wanted to fancy myself an interesting person, and so doing all those kinds of things and having these out of the box experiences that I think other people think, whoa, I couldn't have done that, and so they look at what I've done and think, gosh, that was taking a risk, or that was risky. It could have fallen in either box, and I'm like, well, that was just Tuesday.
Yeah. You do. I know it's just a normal Tuesday for me.
Tuesday.
But it's true. And I feel like a lot of it, like I'm envious of that. I love the fact that you can go, like have been all these places. Travel's a big one for me. That's one. And it's not a risk to me. It's what's interesting is maybe it's that I haven't prioritized it enough. So, so the travel, like all the things on my list of all the places I want to go that I haven't been to yet. There is zero fear, zero apprehension. It's not out of my comfort zone to go. But maybe I haven't that's a whole thing. Maybe I haven't prioritized getting out of my comfort zone as much.
Well, and some risk, when you're identifying certain things to do, as I've gotten older, some things have gotten easier because there's not a financial risk to doing it. So now I'm able to, so there's also,
take a trip.
There's layers of risk. So if I take this big trip and spend what to my 30-year-old self would seem like, a god-awful amount of money and would jeopardize the roof and food and all those other things, now I can do those things and it's not jeopardizing. So to some people, that's a risk. I don't think that's what we're talking about, but
no.
But I also do think that for some people, like risk is defined in so many different ways, and so people,
like,
I can be spontaneous. I think I'm less spontaneous now. Pandemic. That kind of took the spontaneity out of a lot of us,
didn't it? I know you've gotten comfy with the jammies.
I have.
I appreciate you're not in jammies today.
I know.
You could have worn your jammies. I wouldn't have cared.
A dress.
You wore? Is that the first time you've worn a dress in the past year?
No, you've seen
it's
me.
Like the second.
Remember with Best Self, we had to
that's
put
right.
on
We
gown.
had a photo shoot. We had to wear dresses.
To wear gowns.
So I think, it's interesting.
See, I think that for me, I have an opposite risk. I feel like the risk to me is when I say no. I feel like I'm risking something if I don't do it.
You're risking losing the story.
I'm losing the story. I'm losing the opportunity. I'm losing whatever may come from that.
I like that. I like that outlook.
If I hadn't done half the things I had done, you and I wouldn't know each other.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have moved back to Atlanta to help take care of my dad. I wouldn't have jumped into working for a CPA firm and then been able to become part of Elevate. I wouldn't have been able to go do the summit, the White House Summit of Women. Yep. I mean, all these things that make for a really good resume and sound really good when I'm ticking them off, but all of those things are because I had some innate confidence in like failing forward or falling forward. I don't know, whatever.
Both. Yeah.
Both.
Yeah.
But the risk to me has always been, if I don't do it, what am I missing out on? Now that can make
That's a good outlook though.
That can make you a little bit of a junkie though, because pandemic came around and I was like, oh baby, I get to say no.
Yeah.
And I'm not missing out on anything because nobody's doing anything, because FOMO can be an interesting driver.
Can be interesting. And I think the pandemic brought that out because we went from doing too much, like, and we had this conversation with our friend Tran. We went from like busy, saying yes to everything, to having absolutely nothing to say yes to.
Yeah.
And I remember, during the pandemic, Dave Hollis, who I got a little mad at during the pandemic, but anyway, he came out with a quote and it was great. And he said, in the rush to return to normal, think about what parts of normal are worth rushing back to. And that was a big thing, is we went from so busy to nothing. It's like, where do we need to put our yeses?
Yeah.
Where are we strategically placing our F's?
But
that's what do we care about?
But I also think it's a muscle that gets exercised, because I feel like with the pandemic, I've gotten a little lazy about my risk taking. Like I haven't exercised that muscle.
I've felt more in my comfort zone. So we're doing good.
So I'm like, where's my next risk? What am I going to doing? What am I doing? What was that English? What did I just say?
It's fine.
But recently,
take a risk.
The silly risk. I haven't played tennis in 10 years. The neighborhood we live in is having a tennis tournament, and I was like, let's do it. 10 minutes after sending that email, I was like, are we playing tennis? I don't even remember how to
That's where my head went when you said that.
I don't remember how to keep score. But I know I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to die.
You're not going to hit the wall going too fast.
I might get embarrassed because I'm going to hit people with balls or not make a serve. But like, what? It's tennis. But it's still, right now, that was felt a little risky to me.
But I think
not a big risk.
But it's not a big risk in the grand scheme of things. But like you said, it's the embarrassment thing. Mm-hmm. You don't care.
I generally don't care. I will laugh before you can, just so that we're all on the same page.
But that's a good outlet. Can you rub a little bit of that off on me?
Oh, I'll rub it. Come on.
Shelby and I will be rubbing. But it's true though, because that's the biggest. I think you hit on it. I think for a lot of people, getting out of your comfort zone is the fear of being embarrassed.
Yeah. So
you're saying don't worry about it.
And see, for me, I talk about so much of what I do in my personal life. Like if you guys, if I'm embarrassed in front of you guys, Now, professionally, I get it. On that side of it, but I'll still walk into the room full of people that we a couple weeks ago we talked about imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I'll walk into the room full of people thinking,
yeah,
what am I qualified to teach this room? But while in fact I am very qualified in a very niche industry to give a lot of good information, but I will still do it.
Yep.
And I will be terrified that I'm going to embarrass myself. But then I also kind of choose the same humor that I choose in my real life.
Yeah.
Not just my, business Bobby life.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, all right. But I've never been like the envision them all naked or like they put on their pants the same way. I'm like,
I think I haven't either, because everybody is different.
Yeah.
I don't want, first of all, I do a lot of speaking. I don't want to envision anybody naked in the audience. That's this is just bad advice for any of you guys to speak.
Sometimes I worry I'm too goofy, because that's my default. I just feel like if you can imbue a lot of the things you do with a little bit of humor or just kind of deflect a little bit, but that can sometimes be a little, you can do it too much, I think, maybe.
There's a balance. I think there's a balance for any of us.
But I'll still take those risks professionally.
But the fact that you can laugh at yourself, I think, allows you to, you're not overanalyzing yourself and wondering, did I say this wrong or because I've had friends and clients call me like, hey, I said this, and do you think that sounded wrong? I'm like, I don't know, I wasn't there. I couldn't read the room or anything like that. We worry so much. And I'm guilty of that, totally.
Oh, I totally be worried. I totally be worried. I'm doing real good right
Your
now.
grammar's good.
I'm
Your
slipping.
grammar's well.
I'm slipping. But I worry about being taken out of context, or if I say something and I realize it can be taken 10 different ways. I'm the storyteller, so I will tell the long story so that I can hopefully be taken in the right way. So I bore a certain segment of the population to absolute tears that want me to just get to the effing point.
But that's
I don't have a point. I have a path.
But as long as you get there, but that's not really.
Sometimes I land the plane. Sometimes I
risky.
don't.
Well, I don't think that's. But I think the opportunity for you is
I digress.
You kind of know that you just kind of know that's how you are, and you're comfortable. Like I'm very comfortable with how I am, but and who I am and all that stuff. But I do feel like I play it safe.
Yeah.
And I feel like I play it safer than I should. And what's funny, I lack a filter. Like I know I like it. Everyone knows I like a filter, but I still play it safe. So heaven forbid, part of me is like, I already don't have the filter. If I start taking all these risks and really getting out of my comfort zone, it's scary. It's a little bit of scary out there. You just don't know how people are going to respond.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know, but I think everybody should challenge themselves to, like, if they get that little fizzy feeling inside, like, oh, should I do this? Like, assess for a second.
Yeah.
And maybe you should. Maybe the story's worth it.
And I think that's a lot of it, because I had a
or the experience is worth it.
Every time I haven't followed my gut is where I bone. Now, granted, I usually don't listen to my gut, and that's where I make the bad mistakes. But when you've had gut reaction about people, relationships, or things, like I don't listen, and bleh. But I think you're right. There's the warm fuzzy that's like, ooh, this would be fun. This would be
it piques your interest, but you talk yourself out of it.
And we'll talk. I mean, that was I had a trip opportunity recently that my initial gut was, ooh, that's different, and I was like, yeah, but the fuzzy was like, do it. And then I had all you guys going, do it. So I think sometimes you do have to follow the warm fuzzy.
Yeah, but you're real honest with us. You're like your inner circle.
Yeah.
About wanting.
They know all the things.
Wanting to be pushed, but I think sometimes you have to ask people for what you think you.
Right.
For what you're like risk taking for you. Like you wanted some accountability there.
Yeah.
And so I think we've gently nudged, or we've.
They're gently thrusting me out of the nest. Because it's true, but I do. It is just the.
But you could have just as easily not asked us for that.
I could have easily not asked.
And gone about your merry way.
Because they all know, like my closest girlfriends and guy friends know that I'm trying to, like, get out more and take more risks and have. I call it adventures.
Because you want the story.
I want the stories. This is supposed to be the year. Last year, 2020. Still mad at you. 2020 was supposed to be my year of adventure. That was literally what we titled it, the year of adventure. I was turning 50. Yeah. I was going to go to Italy. I was doing 2 weeks by myself. Like we had talked, it was going to be a solo trip. It was like my own little version of Eat, Pray, Love.
Yeah.
Except
I was going to.
I was going to eat, pray. We were going to skip the love part. I was just going to eat, pray.
I just eat.
I was going to eat, pray, eat, whatever rolled in there. But, that got canceled. So I think I finally got on the edge of going, I'm going to do it. And the universe said, we're going to give you a pandemic, so we're going to need you to hold for about 2 years.
Yeah.
And counting. So it is hard. Like, I felt like I got up the courage to kind of like.
Yeah, you'd work yourself there.
I worked myself there. So now I'm slowly getting back into it. So for those of you guys that live in the comfort zone, and again, professionally, I've got it. Like, I've got this master. But personally, I would say for those of you guys that are living in the comfort zone, whichever one it is for you, personal, professional, financial, whatever it is, have the little nudgers.
Get nudgers.
Get the nudgers out there to kind of push you out to where you need to be. So I'm glad you're a nudger, because you're a good example too. Not only are you a good nudger, you're a good example.
Oh, thanks.
So if y'all want to watch Shelby and see all the adventures she does and how fast she's going to wreck the boat into the wall, you can do that. So, love it. All right, folks. Thank you, Shelby, for being with me these last few weeks. I appreciate it. So you guys listening, hold me accountable. I'm not going to tell you all my things, but hold me accountable to kind of getting out there personally, taking on some adventures, getting out of the comfort zone. And if this is a struggle for you, let us know. Drop us some comments and let us know what it is you need some help with to kind of nudge you out of the nest. So until next week, make it a great one, and we will see you all very soon.